Hi, I'm Royce Morales. I'm a transformational facilitator, spiritual teacher, and founder of Perfect Life Awakening. Today, I want to talk about lying to ourselves, something that we do a lot. We may not be conscious of it. It's funny because I'm sure that you probably don't lie to others as much as you lie to yourself. Usually lying or choosing to lie comes from the belief that says, if nobody knows, I won't get in trouble, I won't get punished, etc. Well, if you know anything about karma, that's not going to work because eventually it's going to be found out in some way. Even energetically, you're going to attract situations that expose it, punish it, and do just the opposite of what you were hoping it will do. But how about those lies that you tell to yourself? It happens in the same way, except like I said, usually those lies, we don't even realize. They're so subtle and they're so sometimes minute, but usually they're big. When you start to look at them, you realize how big they really are. And it's kind of sad because, why would you want to lie to yourself? You're the most important person in the whole world to yourself. And every time you do lie to yourself, your deservingness level drops a few notches. It's like, if you can't trust yourself, who can you trust? And of course, as I always talk about in terms of mirrors, if you're lying to yourself, you're going to attract others to lie to you. And it's going to push your buttons and you're going to say, why do people always lie to me? Well, they're just reflecting the part of you that is lying to yourself. So again, a lot of times we think lying to ourselves is so much different than lying to others, but it's just as bad, if not worse. So what about some of those lies that we tell to ourselves? I'm going to talk about a couple of different types of self-lies that we're really good at. The first one is the I need lie. So just fill in the blank. I need a partner. I need my cell phone. I need a car. I need whatever it is. Again, just kind of fill in the blank. And we have convinced ourselves so completely that we can't be happy without those external things that, again, it's just one big lie that we're telling ourselves, because when you feel whole and complete, you realize that there's nothing external to you that you really need. There's a difference, though. I always talk about this in my courses. There's a difference between needing something external and believing it's going to make you happy or bring you peace or make you feel fulfilled or loved or accepted, versus choosing. So if we choose to want something, if we choose to want to be in a relationship versus, oh, I need it, there's a huge difference. So I need this thing to feel complete, whatever it is, we're depending on it to feel satisfied or okay or happy, etc. And we a lot of times set up our entire life to support this lie. And we walk around feeling miserable and then blame it on the fact that we're not in a relationship, or we forgot our cell phone at home, or I can't afford that new car, or whatever it is. So all of those things are lies that we are telling ourselves. And we get very trapped in those lies and we feel like there's no way out. We feel this powerless sense. And why do we feel that way? Because if we were to admit that we were lying to ourselves, that would admit that we were wrong. And that would admit that we have built our life around a lie. And it's, to our fear-based consciousness, that would be a terrifying thing to admit to, that really I am whole and complete and I don't need anything external to be okay. So the next type of lying is that we tell ourselves that we can't do something. Now, granted, yeah, there are some things that, maybe physically we can't do, or we haven't been trained to do, or whatever. But saying I can't is something that happens almost instantly inside of our little heads. And we convince ourselves that, yeah, you're right, you can't do it. Now, again, there's a difference between knowing that, yes, I can't do an acrobatic act because I'm not trained in it and maybe my body doesn't move that way, versus saying I can't go out to dinner by myself, or I can't whatever it is. I'm running out of examples here, but I'm sure you get the idea. There's a real big difference between a programmed part of us that says, I can't do that instantly, versus knowing that you probably can do it, but maybe you believe you can't for some reason. And I'm going to give you a really good example. This was a real life example that happened to me. When my husband had his stroke, we moved up to the mountains, and I had never lived in the snow before, and I had never put on tire chains before. And when it started to snow and I looked outside and I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I have to put tire chains on my car. There was a little voice inside of my head that said, you can't do that. Well, why? So I questioned it. I was aware enough to question the fact that I had this instant reaction to something, even though I had never tried to put on tire chains. I just had this automatic notion that I couldn't do it. So I literally forced myself to go out in the snow and put on tire chains. And guess what? I did it and it was fine. So what I learned from that was, of course, don't buy into that little voice that says you can't. But I decided to go deeper with it. And I did some inner work with myself, and I discovered that I have been kind of living with that little voice in various ways my entire life. And I discovered the sources of that voice, where I decided that I don't deserve to be able to do things. I don't deserve to take care of myself and be okay and put on tire chains, or however that belief showed up in my life. And by doing that, I lost that sense of, I can't. And now when things happen, because there's a lot of things that happen when you're living up in the mountains, now when that happens, I just say, okay, yeah, I can do it. I may not know how I'm going to do it, but I do it. So it's great. It's a great step to not believe those little voices that say, I can't, or the part of you that says, I need this thing externally to make me happy. But it's another thing to go deep and really process and get in touch with what that voice is really about and where it comes from. Because when you find the sources and you find the roots of these notions, things can really shift. But again, it's a good first step to recognize that voice and not buy into it and kind of force yourself to put on those tire chains, but to really resolve it, you've got to get to the source, to the root. And again, excuse me, lying to yourself, I just think it's possibly the biggest offense you could possibly have in your life. And every time you lie to yourself and believe it and buy into it, your sense of deservingness and empowerment drops a level. And it's just, the saddest thing in the world, excuse me, to be lying to that person that is the most important, most significant human in your entire existence, which is, of course, yourself. So if you want to go deeper with this work and you're feeling like you're ready to take out your shovels and really dig in and discover some of your false beliefs about yourself so that you can really stop lying to yourself, give me a call. All of my information is on the information on the video, or it's on my website, roycemorales.com, perfectlifeawakening.com. Please subscribe so you don't miss any of my future videos, because I'm talking about a lot of really important, deep spiritual issues that we all need to get in touch with, because we're here to discover who we really are and to love ourselves enough to stop lying to ourselves. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time.